Ancient Rome. When you hear the name, a couple things may come to mind, such as the Roman Forum or even Julius Caesar getting stabbed. The state is also well known for its military exploits and non-conforming government. Historians argue that the Roman Empire was the first to have a system of checks and balances, while others disagree and instead believe that the concept was unique to American democracy. Although we could argue which is better all day, it'd be more reasonable to accept that American democracy is reflective of ancient Rome in government. But who's going to admit that? Even though it's true. And I'll tell you why. So the first thing you need to know about ancient Rome is the fact that their government was based on three different types: a democracy, aristocracy, and monarchy. This can be said because Greek historian Polybius has said that the three branches of government, democracy, aristocracy, and monarchy, were all found united in Rome, and it was no easy feat to determine with assurance whether the entire state was a monarchy, aristocracy, or democracy. Did you hear the term three branches? Sound familiar? Of course it does, because right here in America, we have three branches of government that work together in a system. And those branches are judicial, executive, and legislative. The next thing to know is that the Senate was a body of government filled with legislators who were tasked with creating and passing laws and could even work as an advisory council to the executive leaders. Now, quick question. Was I talking about ancient Rome or the United States? The answer is both of them. In the United States, our Senate is a combination of representatives who are elected by the people to pass and create laws and make sure that the president doesn't have all the power. In ancient Rome, it was a little bit different. The people who became legislators were elected by the patrician families, also known as the high society, the A-list, upper class, elite, and rich. I could go on and on with the upper class and what they were called. These legislators would then pass and create laws while also serving as advisors to consuls. Consuls were the two chief executives of Rome. One was in charge of the domestic land and the other was in charge of war and conquering. So they could only serve 1 year, and then they couldn't serve again until 10 years had passed, which is very similar to the president in our American society, which can only serve 1 full 8 years or 2 4-year terms. Now, it is important to know that ancient Romans had this system so the two consuls could check one another, while the Senate facilitated and kept everything balanced. The US also has a concept of checks and balances because the Senate checks the president or the executive branch, and then the judicial branch checks the Senate. Also, power is evenly distributed and balanced. The fourth thing you should know about Rome is that they had a military dictator. Now, this person was supposed to be an experienced general who would take control of the armies if the state was in imminent danger. They would go forth and save them, but then they would retreat back into retirement, returning the power back to the consuls. Now, America doesn't have this, but we do have the military integrated into the executive branch, which is all under the command of the president. In summary, the top 4 things you should know about ancient Rome are that is, number 1, it was a combination of 3 different types of government: a monarchy, aristocracy, and a democracy. The second thing you should know is that they had a senate that was in charge of creating laws and electing 2 consuls that were known as the executives of Rome. These 2 consuls were put in place to have a system of checks and balances, which is the third thing you should know, and this reflects how the US also has a system of checks and balances where our branches stop one another from getting too powerful. And the fourth and final thing you should know is that Rome had a military dictator that was only enacted for emergencies to protect the state. So, ancient Rome was a unique empire that helped lead to the very same systems we see today in American democracy. Without the long-lasting impact of Roman culture, we would not have the state that we know today that is so bent on democracy and representing the people.